What up, folks? Jiu-jitsu here. I'm here with a good friend of mine and coach professor, Tony Patarino. Just finished class, and coach, you were working on guard retention, and there were a lot of good concepts that we all need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I wanted to ask you, for like people like myself who are up and coming, like what should we be thinking about, and what will kind of help us improve our, our game while we're working on these things?
Yeah, I mean, repetition, right? Like I've noticed other sports, jiu-jitsu is missing a couple crucial things that other sports have. And one thing is the repetition,
Got it.
right? So that's why I've reformatted our classes, about a month, 6 weeks ago, something like that,
Right.
to get the reps and to get those exercises. Because
Right.
you might learn a technique and never see it again for another 6 months. So to do it, you need the reps to develop the muscle memory so it becomes instinct. Because we always talk about the timing and the technique. If you don't get the reps in and make it instinctual, your timing's done. If you have to think about it, you're done. If you hesitate, that's it.
Right.
Because when it comes to sports, man, if you're even a quarter of a second delayed, it's over. That's a lifetime. Yep, absolutely.
And I feel that it's interesting you mentioned that. I feel that in competition, where like and you've seen that, you coached some of my matches where a split second I made a bad decision, or I was tired and wasn't thinking, and I missed something. Like I'm making mistakes because I'm either rushing or not focusing on that. So I think, like you said, I appreciate having a repetition. I actually mentioned this in one of my other videos where I talked about how the challenge for me when I started Brazilian Jiu-jitsu was seeing one technique and never seeing it for like a year or two.
Right.
Which is why I started taking my notes. I talked about just bullet points, just to remember. Like I remember the name of something at least. Like even if I can't do it, remember it so then I can maybe look it up online and then bring it to my coaches and then have something to bring to the table. It's another thing for me, coming to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu after leaving Aikido, is there you had to focus sort of like in a style. So we only do like a wrist lock a certain way, or we fall a certain way sometimes. Whereas when I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it was a point where like pick your poison. Are you? So I'd ask you sometimes. You recall, like, what should I work on?
Yep.
And it's like, oh, well, what are you interested in? And you give me good notes and things. So addressing that, are there any tips you can give to us for kind of finding our way in this ocean of techniques while we're
I mean, that's why I like to teach foundationally. Right. It's position over submission. You've heard that all the time. So understanding what the major positions are, what their survival postures are, really breaking down and understanding the situation, like close guard, for example. Right. I was teaching that the other day.
It's awesome.
Posture. The person that's in the close guard, if their posture is broken, then the person on the bottom can start opening their legs, going for submissions, sweeps, things like that. Right? If the person has good posture, then the guy on the bottom, that's step one, break their posture. Right? If you open your legs to do something, they're out.
They're
done. Right? Yeah. So just understanding the position and the situation, what's going on. It's one thing to know how to do a move. It's another thing to understand jiu-jitsu itself. So when you do things foundationally, you can add pieces to it, right? But you have to understand the position and the situation, what the goals are for each person.
Right.
And that's the name of the game. That's the fight within the fight. And then you can start to implement the moves.
That's it. I appreciate that. And I've noticed you've been setting up our classes with the drilling, like you mentioned. That's been helpful for me.
Good.
Because I feel like more often than not, I'm like, I should be working on this, but not that I want to do this cool thing, but there's something else I'm into. I'm always in this battle where I'm trying to decide on, should I fix some things I'm struggling with or go for the stuff I really like? Like I want to work on tricoplatas and I want to get better at them, but I should be working on guard retention or getting out of like side guard or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, most people think getting better means advanced and going up and up and up in skill, but really getting better means finding the perfect balance, right? It's going deeper within. It's not going up, it's deeper within. So I would recommend fixing if you see any holes.
Gotcha.
Right? If there's weaknesses, like you had mentioned, if you're resting at the wrong time or you made a mistake somewhere, right? Those are the things you want to focus on, not just to improve, but for competition, right? If you're constantly losing to an X choke, that's the move that just gets you. You're only as good as your weakest link, right? So you have to fix your X choke defense, right? Maybe firm up some of the things. If you're always getting triangles, learn how to get them even more. learn different entries to triangles.
There we go. Okay.
Funnel your positions and your strategies into those triangles, right? So conceptually, just like any other sport, you want to use your strength against their weakness. You want to avoid your weakness and avoid their strength. You want to play your game. That way, you're playing actively and not reactively.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Cool.
Jiu-jitsu here with Coach Patarino. Tap in.
All right.